Hi everyone, Adam Steele from the Hot Pole Studios here, and today we're going to talk about a common studio issue. There's also sometimes a live issue. Drummers that can't play to a click. Beyond just practicing to get better, there are actually issues that I've come up against where you can help get over these kind of things and get to a point where your drummer's comfortable and locking in with that click. So today that's what we're going to talk about. There's a few options. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. I just wanted to tell you that the videos that we make are brought to you by you through Patreon. Patreon is a platform where you can support us if you help us out with like $1 a month. It doesn't sound like much, but it's something that would really help us out. So if you would check that out, I'd really appreciate it. The link is down below in the description. Roll the intro. Okay, so the biggest issue that I find with drummers falling out of time with a click other than just practicing is that they can't hear the click. Sounds simple, but what that comes from is the problem, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing is you sit a drummer behind a drum kit for a live studio session, you put headphones on him with a click, that typical beep boop 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 beep boop, and you go. And you find that he's drifting too fast, too slow. Why? So the first reason that I've always found is the drummer can't hear the click. Now, why would that be? Let's just say that the drummer's using a regular pair of headphones, a big fat pair of headphones. You would think they would isolate the sound from the drums and the click from each other. Not very much. So here's what happens when I try and play to a click that's just a standard click with regular headphones. The problem is that the drums themselves are so loud, the drummer is struggling to hear anything over that. And then you end up turning those headphones up and up and up so loud that you get two problems. First, that click starts to bleed onto the microphones. It's that loud. But secondly, that's bleeding out of the headphones and it's not penetrating into the drummer's subconscious over the sounds of the drums being smashed. So the first possible way to fix this is with earplugs. Sounds silly, maybe, but these are a pair of earplugs that I've been using from a company called Etymotic. I usually use ACS Custom. I can't find my ACS Custom in-ears for the life of me right now, so these are just another example. But these work in terms of bringing the overall level down. So because after 5 minutes, 10 minutes using headphones at that kind of really high volume to hear the click, your drummer starts to get hearing damage in the same frequency range as that click, which means that they go from kind of being able to hear it to that single point in their hearing having a dip because of damage. So suddenly they can't make that out anymore. Maybe they'll recover from the next day, maybe they won't in the long term. But this is one of those things where if you find that a drummer is gelling with a click for a little while then isn't, it's probably hearing damage in that region. The next stage from there is, one question that a lot of guys say is, well, what about those, Vic Firth isolating headphones? Those are quite decent, but they don't have the best. They don't have the best speakers in them, so that doesn't give you a full range of sound above the drum noise. They work for some drummers. I've worked with a drummer live who uses them, and they look kind of unwieldy, but they do a job. So beyond that, what are we looking at? We're looking at in-ear monitors. Why in-ear monitors over headphones? Because they seal the ear canal, which means a couple of things. Firstly, it means that there's a much better isolation between the drums that are being hit and what's being fed into the drummer's ears. But secondly, because there's that separation, it means they can turn the volume of those in-ear monitors down, which means they're not going to suffer from hearing damage. Now, the next step from there, and this is what I get really heavy hitting metal players to do, is I'll get them to wear their in-ear monitors and I'll get them to wear a pair of pelters over the top. These are the same type of hearing protection that guys who do a lot of shooting will wear. And you know how loud a rifle can be, a shotgun. So guys who do things like clay pigeon shooting all the time wear the big versions of these. I've got the slightly smaller versions of the pelters. There are different sizes. But if you wear these over the top of your in-ear monitors, you can turn them down even further, volume-wise, which means you'll get a much better separation between what you're hitting and what you're hearing. If you can hear the click, you can follow the click. It can then become part of the subconscious. So that's part one. What about part two? There's another part of what I do to improve playing with a click. And that is talking about the click itself. Now, the click in this first example is your standard, Pro Tools, Cubase, typical triangle wave click, where the upbeat is on a certain frequency and the downbeat's on another. They're very specific frequencies, and it sounds like this. You've probably heard it before. The problems for me with this click are that it's in mono, so it's right in the center of the kind of headphone image, which means that if you're playing perfectly, it kind of disappears. Then there's some higher frequency information in there, but it's so inorganic that I don't think the human brain can latch onto it very well. So what I do is I've made myself a sample from using one of the Easy Drummer percussion packs, and that uses, I think, some sort of claves or something as the upbeat and a cowbell. But specifically, they're in a room setting in stereo, which means when I play that back over the headphones, it doesn't sound like it's coming from right in the center of your brain. It sounds like it's coming from kind of outwards, which means it's much more organic. And then when you're smashing the drums, I mean, what's down the middle? Kick, snare, all the things you're really hitting. But if the click sounds like it's coming from outside of that, it doesn't have to be offensively loud for you to be able to pick up on that and really groove. So that's what I do a lot of the time. Wherever possible, I try and combine that with something that's better than a click. And for me, what's better than a click? A full demo track. If you've got a pre-production version of a track, then I usually find that because there are things like stereo guitars going on, there's all the cymbal information, the room mics on even the virtual drums, something like Superior Drummer, they help a very natural, organic tempo. So here's an example of that. Now, you'll probably have heard me drift out of time a couple of times there, even with like a nice click and everything, but that's because I don't consider myself to be a drummer, let's be honest. I'm a producer. My job is to make you sound as good as possible and to get over any obstacles that you might have. I'm just trying to demonstrate that today. But yes, find yourself a good click sound. Get yourself some good isolating headphones. I mean, the Pelters, the over-ear, the earmuffs, not earmuffs, they're proper hearing protection. They're not expensive. I think I've got the real Pelters. They're about £30, which sounds like a lot, but for something that protects your hearing and allows you to hear everything clearly, is worth its weight in gold. The drummer for the Devin Townsend project, a guy called Ryan Van Budderoyen, he smashes the drum kit so hard it would give anybody permanent hearing damage. And you see him in practice rooms and he's wearing these like shooting kind of hearing protection devices, and it's keeping him perfectly in time with everybody because he can hear enough of everybody to keep in time with them, but it's not sending him deaf. Beyond that, yeah, just get as good a setup as you can, a good click, and then practice with that. If you can do that, next time you go into a studio, the engineer is going to think you are an absolute god because you can go in and you can just hammer things out perfectly to a click within the first couple of takes. And that's what, as an engineer, that's what we're really after. I mean, you being able to show off with fills, that's cool. But if you can't hold a steady beat right with the click, then you're not really that much good in a kind of rock and metal. It's a foundation, and hopefully what I've shown you here is something that can overcome some of the problems that you face, because I have come up against these problems for years, and it's only with stopping and thinking about it that I've found these ways to get around these problems. So I hope this helps you. Thank you for watching, and one more time I'm going to ask you to do the whole like and share and subscribe thing, and beyond that, if you could check out our Patreon, which is, if you don't know, Patreon is a thing where you can help us out with just a little bit of, maybe $1 a month or something. I know it sounds like kind of begging, but we want to do this as much as possible. We want to spend the time in the studio making videos for you guys, which means if we're doing this, we're not getting paid by clients. We need to keep a roof over our heads. So if we can get supported by you, we will give back to you as much as we possibly can. So I hope it's not been too sales pitchy for you at the end there, because we really appreciate everything that you guys do for us, and keep those comments rolling in as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, feel free to check out our other videos, as you can find here, or check out our Facebook and Twitter, or our Patreon page, which helps us to make more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.